Is
Hey, wait. Okay.
today is October the 19th, 2011, and we've got Naomi Kennedy here, who's a longtime public health nurse and you served in the public health service, is that correct?
Yes.
And you were a colonel. What was the official, what was your, what did you come out as? A captain?
Yeah.
Four striper. In the Navy, we call those captains.
Right.
I think you had the same rank as in the Navy.
I think so, if I remember right.
Yeah. You got it there? Well, that's okay.
I've got 4 commissions. The last was for 4 stripes, which
Four
was
stripes,
captain.
yeah. That's equivalent to a captain in the Navy. Wow, you're almost an admiral.
I know.
Yeah. Well, that's good.
It was fun.
So to start off with, just tell me your name. What's your name?
Well, I used my middle name, Naomi Kennedy.
Naomi Kennedy, okay. And where were you born?
Logan County. Yeah.
Were you born? Here in Logan County?
Mm-hmm.
Is that your maiden name, Kennedy?
Yes, it
Nancy?
is.
I never had to ask that question before because we always have the boys here. So,
Yes.
well, that's good. So, so you were born here. Where in Logan County?
2 miles north of Daly.
North of Daly. Okay, yeah.
If you know where it is.
I know where Daly is. Yeah, it's not much there anymore.
No, never was a whole lot.
Yeah. Well, that's good. So, and so then where did you go to high school?
Daly. They had a high
In
school.
Daly,
then.
they had a high school there?
6 boys and 6 girls.
Is that right? Yeah. And when did you graduate? Do you remember?
1936.
36? Yeah. So then what happened to you then? After that you went to school, did you, or what happened?
Well, I wasn't sure what I was going to do, so and it was depression. So or a tail end of depression. So I worked on and off in women's homes, and I discovered very quickly that I didn't want to spend my life doing that. So the neighbor girls, they were signed up to go to school at Presbyterian Hospital School of Nursing in Denver. And I thought, oh, hey, that's a good idea. I wonder if they'll accept me. They did right off. So I spent the next 3 years in Presbyterian. You know, way back, many of the nursing schools were in hospitals. Now
Yeah.
they're all in universities.
Well,
or
you
colleges.
you actually almost lived in the hospital and everything there.
Oh yes, we had a nursing
You had a
home.
dormitory. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you stayed right there, yeah.
Yeah, and when you were in surgery, you were on call, and you just might get called during the night. If you did, you just went up the hill to Pres Hospital and to find out what it was what the emergency was.
Yeah. And that was in 36, 7, 8, 9 in there, huh?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And that was depression.
Yeah.
Kind of tough times, yeah.
Sort of the tail end of it. Yes, it was.
Yeah. What did your folks do out of day? They farm or something?
Yeah, farm. Uh-huh.
They farm. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
You still got family around out there or not?
Not. I have a sister here in Sterling. Oh, and I have one in Fleming. Lives in Fleming.
Oh yeah. What's their names?
The one in Fleming is Garnet Curtis, and the one here in Sterling is Selma Heath.
Oh, Thelma Heath. Okay. All right. Well, okay. So you girls raised out there near Daly, and you went to nursing school for 3 years. So when you finished nursing school, did you keep working at Press, or what happened then?
Well, let's see. I did work at press. I was the only one in our class that they asked to work for them. In the first place, there wasn't, since it was tail end of Depression, there wasn't much of a turnover. But even so, I always thought that was, you know, a good thing for me that they asked me to. So I did work there in obstetrics in the newborn nursery for about a year. And then I went out the West Coast and I worked at the Children's Hospital in Los Angeles for a year.
How come you went to the West Coast? Were you going to be in the movies or something like that?
No, I guess I was just an adventurous soul.
You just wanted to see the world.
Right.
Well, that's good.
And it was sort of what a lot of my classmates were doing. You know, they were getting involved here and there. It was it was easy to do, honest to goodness. I was never asked, ever, to show my license or.
Just they gave you a job because they needed you. Is that right?
You just walk in and sit down and kind of talk with them, and But no, as I say, I've never ever been asked to
Is that
show
right?
a license. Right.
They just put you on and said, "Go to it," huh?
Right. I've always found that a little different than one would expect. But anyway, then I spent a year in Children and Women's Hospital in San Francisco, and I came back to Colorado and worked in St. Luke's in obstetrics for about a year. And then I went back out to the West Coast and worked in a Swedish hospital in Seattle, again in obstetrics. Then I came back to God's country. Stopped roaming around. And, I don't know if you remember her. Ruby Daniels was here, and she was the chief of public health nursing in this 6-county health district out here. And she learned I was in the area, so she paid a visit to me and wanted to know if I would like to go to work. And I said, well, tell me a little bit about it, you know. And so she did, and I said, oh, I see. We sort of go sell ourselves and what we know and understand about public health. And she said, that's right. So I went on, and my first assignment was 1 year in Phillips County. And then the next one was in Morgan County. And then from 1954 to 56, I was supervising nurse here in Sterling of the 6-county health department.
Oh, what year was that?
1954 through 1956.
56, yeah, okay.
Mm-hmm. And then I must have gone to school. Anyway, yeah, I did. In fact, I was recruited to go to school to get.
She's not holding that up too high.
Prepared for. I went to the University of Colorado School of Nursing in Boulder and got a baccalaureate degree.
Just a minute.
Yeah.
So you went to from 6 counties here to as a public health nurse. You went to Boulder then, the university.
University of Colorado
and got
Nursing.
a baccalaureate in nursing or something like
Got
that.
a baccalaureate degree in specializing in public health nursing.
In public health, okay.
Mm-hmm. And then I was.
So when? Let me ask you about that. You know, actually, I've been on the state board of health here. Governor Love appointed me a long time ago. That's a while back too. So what did you find out was different about public health nursing and say ward nursing or something like that? What was the difference?
Oh, there's a lot of difference. You don't have much direct dealings with patients
Yeah.
in public. It's more educational.
So you had, did you have seminars and do things like that, or
Yes.
how did you
Yes.
how did you handle your duties as a public health nurse?
I look back on it and say to myself, what did I do? Yes, I had I'd get nurses together and we'd do what I guess you'd call it education.
Yeah.
And of course I went around to their offices and whatever they wanted to, pretty much I left it open as to what they wanted or needed me to do while I was there. Sometimes it was just, to talk and cover any concerns that they had.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember the nurse didn't have a concern. Often it was the welfare ladies. Either you got along with them or you didn't.
Say what?
Either you got along with them or you didn't.
Yeah, right. I understand that.
For the most part, we got along with them just fine, but there was a little problem down in Akron. The then welfare lady thought the public health nurse.
Now it's recording.
You okay?
Yeah.
You're running now? Okay. So what the welfare people didn't think the public health nurse was
Dressing appropriately.
dressing appropriately.
Yes.
I see.
So I
What
just,
did that mean? I mean, did
Yeah,
that
right.
mean that the nurse didn't have the right clothes or the right
Right.
hat or something, or what?
Right. It was a coat. She was relatively young and she didn't have all that much money, and she had a fax or false fur coat, and that's what she wore when it was
A
cold.
fur coat?
Mhm.
And that was not correct?
Oh no.
Well, that was, let's see, I was trying to think, when it used to be the school teachers, they criticize them about how they wore their hair, and you couldn't smoke. I
Right.
mean, man, that was really out.
Yes,
That's what, go ahead, excuse me.
that's all right.
So she wore a fur coat, and the welfare people were kicking about that.
Right,
Huh?
yeah. So I motored down and listened to this. Finally, I said to her, "Well, do you see a solution?" Yeah, she really didn't. And I said, "Well, if the county and the welfare department aren't happy with the coat she wears, how about getting her another one, one that you would approve if that was satisfactory with her." And I never heard any more about that.
Took care of that, huh? Matter of budgetary things.
Right.
I see. Okay.
Oh, shoot. But anyway, it was fun. I enjoyed it.
Well, now, did you supervise things like school nurses and stuff like that, or did?
For the most part, the public health nurses were the school nurses, with the exception of here in Sterling.
Yeah.
And I attempted to make a relationship with that person, but somehow that didn't set with her. She
That's probably Edith Neal.
No, I don't remember the lady's name. She was really quite nice, but if she didn't want to come and relate to us, I felt like that was her business. You know, I thought it was a chance to see what we do and have a better understanding maybe of what how public health could help her.
Yeah.
Because they didn't make home visits that I know of. And of course, public health nurses did. We did a good deal of visiting with families. As a matter of fact, when I was in Phillips County, and way back when, in high school, they referred a young student to me. I think he was a freshie or a sophomore in high school. Nicest kid, but the teacher said, they told me that they didn't think he could see, and they said they had sent notes or contacted the parents, and the parents didn't do anything. They said that, oh, he didn't have any problem. It was just that other kids were getting glasses, and he thought he should have glasses. So I went to see, you know, made a home visit, visited with the mother, and she told me that that had been their attitude. And I said, well, you know, I just wish you'd rethink it and take him to a physician. And so they did. And sure enough, you know, the kid needed glasses badly.
Yeah.
And they got them for him. So that's just one story.
Got him glasses, huh?
Yeah, yeah. where you know, I was able to do it where the school had failed. They wouldn't pay any attention to them.
Yeah. Well, they just have to have somebody knock on the door, didn't they?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So after you did the supervising nurses and you got your BA at CU, what happened to you next?
Let's see, I've kind of forgotten. Oh, I was more or less recruited from state level to go to Columbia University to get my master's. And at that time, the federal government was had stipends for nurses to do that because they were getting into mental health, and they wanted, you know,
Right.
this was a way to attract
So you got a federal stipend to attend Columbia.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's a pretty big lick.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Going from Sterling to New York.
Yeah, right.
I'd never have been out
Just
of it.
show them how it is. Yeah. So you went to Columbia
Yes.
in New York,
Mm-hmm.
and how long were you there?
That was a 2-year course.
Yeah.
And 6 months of that was a placement in, they called them block placements. The first one was in Boston in the Judge Baker Guidance Center, and that was affiliated with Harvard School of Medicine. And the other 2 months, they sent me to Georgia because Georgia had they were way ahead of most of the states. They had a mental health nurse consultant at state level. And so I went down and, quote, followed her for 2 months to kind of see what she got into. And she was good. She was a lot of fun and knew what she was doing. And she kind of eased me into some of the
So that was it mostly mental health? Is that what you said?
Yes, that's what I did.
So did you end up doing mostly mental health then?
Yes, yes. I had a position waiting for me here in state level in Colorado. And
Okay.
so I went back and, or came back and fulfilled that requirement. And then,
So you came back to Colorado as a mental health, public health nurse, correct?
right, uh-huh.
And what were some of your duties here? I mean, what were some of your interactions, or did you have some problems or anything like that, or did you just? I mean, you were kind of a pioneer, weren't you?
Yeah, oh, and for sure.
That's what I mean. I mean, you were.
Yeah.
I mean, that sort of thing was not not very well
No.
accepted and seen. So you know, sometimes I'll bet you were thought of as being intrusive or nosy about things. Were you?
I don't think so.
No.
Uh,
Would you intervene on people that were having mental health problems and see that they were institutionalized or do things like that, or what?
Not very much.
Nothing, none of that.
No. I was more in the consultation and education of people who did do that.
Oh, okay. So
Nurses.
you kind of gave the other nurses pointers and
Right.
and some of the
And work with
social
them.
workers, and is that correct?
Yes.
And did you do that statewide
Yes.
for Colorado?
Yes.
And were you what department was that under?
At that time, it was a, let's see, was it, you know,
Was
Uh,
that
it was
under
a- it was still
was that
in
under
public health.
institutions, or was that
it was still public health then. You know, they have the two departments now, I believe, don't they? Department of Health and Department of Mental Health at state level. But at that time, mental health was in public health, in state
in
level.
the Department of Health? What year was that about?
From 1958 to 62.
62. Okay. Rory Clear was the
And I was,
department head then. Or something.
I was a general public health consultant to Weld County Health Department and San Juan Basin,
Oh yeah.
in addition to the mental health coverage.
Wow. So did you have to travel a lot? And
Quite a bit.
yeah.
Oh yeah, I used
So
to.
did you drive yourself around and do all that?
I did, but as far as these two places, well, San Juan in particular, but let's see, over on the western slope, what's the big town over there?
Grand Junction.
Yes, I I would fly.
Fly over Grand Junction, yeah.
Yeah, I knew. Excuse me. I knew those boys, and they knew me. I'd maybe be over in Grand Junction officially for a couple of days, and they'd know that I was going to go back, you know, in the late afternoon. And a time or two, I was a little bit late. They'd wait. And one time we got, there was a snowstorm kind of in the southern part of their route. And so we were up over Wyoming and came over the Continental Divide and then down and this way. And then one time I remember doing just the opposite, going down south and coming out below Pueblo, and then we came up.
Snuck around a little bit.
Because of the storm.
Yeah, because of the, yeah, right.
Yeah.
You had to avoid those big mountains and stuff. Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you always knew when you when you went over the the hump. Those little planes got pretty shaky.
Well, now at that time in Colorado, who was your who was the head of your department? Do you know?
Oh gosh, I've probably forgotten. Let's see. They were always physicians. They were always physicians that
Yeah.
was headed up this.
Yeah. So, well, Dr. Clear was the
Oh yeah, Roy Clear.
Clear was the head of the Department of Health for a long time.
Yes. Yeah, he was.
That's when I was I was on the state health board there in the '60s. And when, yeah, but I never ran into you.
No, by that time. By that time, I was, well,
So you worked for the state of Colorado, and you did that sort of thing, training the nurses and that sort of thing. And then after that, what did you do?
well, then I was recruited into the USPHS.
So then you went into public health service.
With the National Institute of Mental Health.
And then, did that constitute a transfer, or did you stay in the Colorado area, or what happened then?
Well, the first assignment was San Francisco, Region 9, and that was from 63 to 65, and then from there, there were two nurses in San Francisco, and that seemed unfair to the man who headed up the Charlottesville, Virginia, Region 3 office, and so he asked for me to be transferred to Charlottesville, and I was I was there for 5 years. And there we served Maryland, Virginia, West Virginia, Kentucky, North Carolina, District of Columbia, Puerto Rico, and the Virgin Islands. Then in 1970, I was in, Region 3 was moved. I guess it was a senator who thought, aha, we'd like to have that money coming into Philadelphia. Anyway, we were moved from Charlottesville, Virginia to Philadelphia, and I was the only one that transferred. The guys all said no, they weren't going to go and got different jobs and stayed where, But anyway, and
So as a public health officer, what did you do? I mean, what were some of the things that you did?
Same thing. Got in on helping people think through little research projects and helped them with set up educational activities and that kind of thing. And then the director of the Region 3, or Region 8, I mean, based in Denver, contacted me and wanted to know if I didn't want to come to this part of the country. And I said, sure, I'll be glad to come back to Glad's country. So I was transferred to the regional office in '73, and I retired from there 11 years later.
So what then? So did you finish your career here in Colorado? Is that it?
Mm-hmm.
Did you?
Yeah.
Is that right? And they kept promoting you in spite of all that?
They what?
Kept promoting you.
Yes.
You kept getting more rank.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
well, you were a high-ranking person. You must have been one of the highest-ranking people in the public health service.
Oh, no. I was up there by the time. But
Well, if you were a forest striper, yeah, because there wouldn't be hardly anybody. I don't think they didn't have things like admiral rank and things like that, did they? 1 stars and 2 stars and stuff.
no, I don't believe so.
Yeah, they just didn't. So did you wear a uniform all the time?
Not all the time, but I had one.
You had one.
Yeah. But I sold it
You sold it? Did you?
to a young nurse that was coming in.
Oh, I see. The next sold.
Right.
Well, good for you. Well, now when you were advising people on different things and I suppose you helped them with grants and things like that, did you?
Mm-hmm.
And that sort of thing. Did you just wear civilian clothes and things like that?
For the most part.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's good.
You,
What do you think the most important thing is that you accomplished? You were in a powerful position, I think. I mean, helping people like that. What do you think the nicest thing that happened or the best thing you did?
well, I'll try to bring it down to Colorado, and I didn't do this all by myself. there was, they had some people they called health educators, and we had a health educator, public health educator, in the Region 8 office. And she worked pretty much with construction projects. And somehow I became aware that Fort Collins wanted to try for a grant to get funds to build some new animal treatment or facility up there in Fort Collins. And I sort of introduced her and helped her get
Go through that.
and they
good
got
for
it.
Yeah, up at the veterinary school maybe, huh? Yeah, good for you. Well, that's really interesting. And did you get involved in things like development of medications, treatments, anything like that, or were you?
No.
None of that sort.
Not at that level, no.
No, okay. So you didn't do that sort of thing. Okay.
No.
Well, that's good. So then, have you where are you living now? In Sterling? Good old Sterling, huh? You made the full circle almost, didn't you?
That's right.
Huh? Well, that's fantastic. Well, you're just a wonderful person. We're glad that you did that. Now, what do you think? What we always ask, your highest rank was a four-striper, and did you receive any accolades or medals or anything like that? They do that. You have some awards there that you got.
A few. Accommodation silver medal, and I have plaques and certificates and ribbons, and and I have letter from one state governor and other local agencies, and then of course, you know, certificates from related organizations.
So, okay, well, that's good. I don't know, thanks for taking your time to come in and tell us about your career. We think it's important.
Well,
We think you're important. You did a great job.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed every minute of it.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
That's a good way to be. Yeah.
Kind of miss it, but you know, I'm 93 now, and I volunteer out at the visitor center on Thursday. I've thought some of that maybe I ought to volunteer over at the hospital, and then I say to myself, no, you paid your dues.
You're better off out at there. Visitor center.
Better.